Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. We close out today's show with a special tribute to a special man who passed away this past week. And I know that Mike Hayes was a big man, but he also had a big heart, especially for Reelfoot Lake and, of course, his Blue Bank Resort. And we're going to talk with some folks here coming up on this segment about Mike and what he meant to them. We've kind of held over our good man Ron Wong to talk for a few minutes here about him, and then Marty Marbury's coming up right after that. We're just going to roll with a tribute to Mike. And I know, Ron, you've spent many a time up at Blue Bank Resort.
Absolutely. You know, Larry, it's so sad to see Mike go. He's gone too soon, first of all, but more importantly, the way that he was such a pioneer, a trailblazer in promoting the Reelfoot, Tiftonville, Sandburg area. It's become an international place that people come to, and it's because of Mike. He had a vision, and I have to tell you, one of the big things that I'm going to miss is every time I've always been up there, I've always made it a point to go and visit with Mike, but his vision, he wanted to do a lot of different things in a lot of different ways, and more importantly, to promote the whole area. And I have to tell you, to be able to spend time to talk with him was a blessing, because I learned so much about the area, but also to see a man with a big heart and a big vision, and gosh, he's going to be missed.
And I know,
the last time I saw Mike was last fall in November or October, I don't remember, where he hosted the Tennessee Outdoor Writers Association meeting, and it was a first-class event because of Mike.
And I know we've got Marty Marbury on with us right now, too. Of course, Marty is West Tennessee Division Manager of the Tennessee Department of Tourism Development. We kid with Marty. She gives us lots of information. And I know, Marty, you're listening in as Ron talks right there. You got to agree with that, I know.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, when this kid took my job, when I took my job 18 years ago, Mike Hayes was one of the first ones who stepped up and wanted to teach me all about the outdoors. And I was so grateful and thankful. You just couldn't find him any better than Mike. He was a good man. And Ron is 100% correct. Mike had a vision for Northwest Tennessee, for all of West Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he wanted to drive that visitation, and his mind was so creative. I mean, you know, look at Blue Bank Resort, the light show that he does at the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
The butterfly garden that he was so he was so excited when he called me, and he's like, Marty, we're on the path of this monarch butterfly, and I'm going to start planting the flowers. And Mike, he just had a heart for his home, for our state, and he had a heart for visitors. He loved to welcome people in. The first time I took my husband, Greg, up there, he's like, man, he really loves what he does, doesn't he? And I know he sure does. He sure does. So, Ron, you hit the nail on the head. Mike was a visionary, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I had to work with Mike. I'm so grateful for the things he taught me about duck hunting and fishing and things I knew nothing about, and he was so generous. That's another word that you can use.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
We can use that.
He was generous to a fault. I just loved that.
All right. Well, we're going to let Ron and Marty go. Thank you. We're going to move on because we got somebody else that wants to come in right now. Appreciate both of you folks. And folks, we will let everybody know that The visitation will be Monday from 4 to 7. The funeral will be at 1 on Tuesday. Visitation 11:30 to 1. I think that's all at Second Baptist in Union City. I don't have that details, but I know you can Google that. But I know my wife and I will be up there for that visitation on Monday. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Ron. And let's switch gears so you guys step on out, and let's bring in Steve McAdams right now. Steve, I know you've had a long friendship with Mike Hayes too. I know.
Probably 30 or 40 years. We go in the northern states, and he would be always promoting Reelfoot. You know, Mike was synonymous to Reelfoot. The Hayes name, his father was there for decades as well, and
his mother was a legend. I mean, his mother
was, yeah. His father too. You know,
yeah.
He just when you mentioned Blueback or Reelfoot Lake, Mike was synonymous to it, and he did. Like the other folks said, he was always promoting Reelfoot. When he was on the Wildlife Commission, he did a lot of things for Reelfoot and helped the lake area, and in more ways than one. But you're right. I mean, bluegill was king at certain times of the year, and then he's duck hunting in the winter, so he always had something to offer tourists and people. And, gosh, I just can't imagine Reelfoot Lake not having Mike Hayes on the shore. It's going to be strange.
Well, I know your relationship with a long time, you being based out of Paris right there, and know about his love, and I know that our prayers go out to Kathy and Michael and Drew and Sarah Beth and all that crew. I know we were up there, Steve, for that for Gary Mason's, and we're going to get Gary on here in just a minute too. But we were up there for the Outdoor Writers Conference, and what did Mike do? He made a point to come to the door and wave at us, Steve.
Right. I remember very clearly. We all wanted to give him a big hug, but we couldn't do it at the time, and because he was undergoing treatment, and it's been a tough situation for his family too. And those cypress trees and Mike Hayes was just part of Reelfoot Lake. That's all you can say. I mean, he's been there so long, and we became close friends, not only from an outdoor writer standpoint, but from going fishing and hunting with him down there. And, I knew a lot of the legend about Reelfoot Lake, and I knew he was just part of the fabric. That's all you can say.
And I know we got Gary Mason on the line now with us. Gary, you there?
Oh, yeah, Larry, I'm here.
And we got two legends here. We got Gary Mason and Steve McAdams both talking about a legend. And, Gary, I know we were just mentioning about your Outdoor Writer Media Camp, and that Mike made a point. We were all there in the dining room, and he just wanted to wave at us. You remember that moment, Gary?
Oh, I absolutely do. And like Steve said, we all wanted to get up and hug him or shake his hand. And, of course, he was too sick to allow us to do that. But it was great to get to see him. I actually – a little later on that afternoon, got to spend some time talking to him. He was in his truck, and of course I stood away from the truck, but we got to share a few moments with. Mike was the kind of guy that Mike always had an opinion about something.
Yes, he did.
And most of the time he was right.
He was right.
But if he wasn't right, I remember him and I had several conversations when he was on the commission.
Oh yeah.
And then later on about things that were going on in Reelfoot Lake and Kentucky Lake, and we might not have seen eye to eye, but he always listened to me, and he would always see my point of view, and then, we would always come back, and discuss it more, but whatever it was. But Mike was a true visionary. I think back on the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars that he spent promoting Reelfoot, like Steve was talking about, and Marty and all of them, and he was the nucleus behind the promotions. And there's other folks there, great folks that has promoted Reelfoot, but gosh, Mike stuck his heart on his shoulder and went out after the customer and then treated them like family when they got there.
Yeah, and I know Steve and of course Gary, you former Northwest Tennessee Tourism, and our good friend Jim Perry wanted to be on with us today, but he's got some obligations with his wonderful wife Shirley, and our prayers go out with Jim and her. But I know Gary, in your position for tourism, and Steve, I don't know. He spent money, buddy. I mean, he spent some money to make Blue Bank and make Reelfoot a destination, Steve, not only for hunters and fishermen, as Marty said, he wanted to get people to see what a beautiful area that is overall, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. He went to boat shows all across the country. I mean, St. Louis, Indianapolis, even up in Minnesota. I mean, he went across the north promoting the lake because he knew that was where our people came.
Yeah.
And, when you mentioned Reelfoot Lake, Mike Hayes was part of the sentence.
He was. Last year, Gary, at the Legends, which I was privileged to be inducted, there was Mike there with Billy Blakely. Mike and Kathy, they were all there for Billy.
Yeah.
And I can imagine the turnout it's going to be Monday and Tuesday for this man who he didn't hide anything, buddy. I mean, he called me. If he had something to say, he'd call and let him know his opinion and things along that line. And I think you got to respect a guy for that. And,
absolutely.
And I can still see his mom out there sculling, Gary. I mean, she was a chief sculler I've ever seen.
I got to visit with him about 10 days ago, Larry.
Did you really? Great.
I knew the situation was tough, and the first words out of his mouth, he started talking about duck blinds, And there he was, and I knew he wasn't feeling good. And the first thing he talked about was duck blind, and we went from there. But I had a good last visit with him, and shook hands, and I knew I might not get to see him again. I'm so glad I visited.
Well, guys, I appreciate both of y'all taking time. We wanted to do this for Mike and Kathy and Drew and Michael, and now Sarah Beth, the whole family up there. This is a long institution, and he's touched a lot of folks. And like I say, me and Miriam plan to be up there Monday for visitation, Lord willing, and everything. But thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Great to be with you, Larry.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Larry.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Okay, all right, let's close out the show today. We'll be back next week. Ron Wong will be reporting from Hot Springs, and we lose him. He's only I don't think Mike is in his 60s. I don't really know for sure to lose him, but he's been to M. Anderson. We've all been affected by this, haven't we, Gene?
Yes, sir.
We know, and he fought the battle. I can tell you that. He fought the battle, and I appreciate you being there with us this morning, Gene.
Yes,
Thank you. Brought some sanity to the show.
10-4.
As best you can. Did you?
Little Red Riding Hood, the paramedic says she's stable.
Yeah.
But she's not out of the woods yet.
She's not out of the woods yet. That's the way to end it right there. That's a woodsy comment from the legendary man over there. Shelby, thank you. All you listeners out there in Brownsville, Jackson, throughout the Mid-South here in Memphis, it doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. And what else, Gene? God bless the USA.